Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Blissful Living Podcast. I am the Queen of Feeling Fabulous, Rochelle Marie Lawson, and I have a great show for you today. In fact, it is show number 2 with my friend Gustavo Piero, and we are going to continue talking about wealthonomics. As you may have heard in the last episode of the show with him, um, he dropped some nuggets of gold, but also he gave you some riches that you should be focusing on when it comes to your wealth. So we're going to continue the conversation. But before we get started, I'm going to tell you all, find a place to sit, grab something to write with, get your favorite beverage, take some time out for yourself, tell your family you need a few moments because you're going to want to take notes with regards to our conversation today. And it's always good to just take a little bit of time for yourself so that you can be the best that you can be for those that you love and care about. So while you're doing that, I'm going to thank our sponsors, Blissful Living for You at Blissful Living, the number 4, the letter U.com. They have some wonderful things to help you transition as we move into this summer season and to help keep your mind, body, and spirit balanced, harmonized, healthy, and thriving. In addition to that, to keep your wisdom, your mindset, and your wealth all harmonizing with your well-being so that everything flows synchronistically in your life. So you want to check out Blissful Living for You. Not only that, they have some phenomenal events coming up called the Brave, Bold, and Unstoppable Women's Summit. And those are happening in a few cities throughout the US. So if you want to know how you can be a part of that, whether you're a speaker, you want to attend because you want to learn how to build and expand your business empire, then you want to definitely go and check out Blissful Living for You at Blissful Living, the number 4, the letter U.com. The next sponsor is All Day Cable Incorporated. It is a telecommunications installation company, woman owned, minority owned, and they specialize in installing voice data, fiber optic cabling, all your wireless access points, your routers, setting up actually your complete network distribution. So when you pick up that phone or you hook on into that computer, you're able to make the right connections the first time and take care of your customers and fulfill your obligations with your responsibilities at your place of employment or your company. If you have a need for a telecommunications installation company that has been in business for over 30 years and they help small, medium, and large corporations to operate telephonically or telecommunicatively effectively and efficiently, then you want to check out All Day Cable Inc. at alldaycableinc.com. Okay, so now I'm super excited. You had a little bit of time to gather some goods, to take nuggets of gold notes from my friend Gustavo. And let me just refresh your memory about Gustavo. He was born in South Bronx and he was raised by a single mom. And he had to learn how to overcome adversity at a very young age. He's a 2-time cancer survivor and learned many lessons along the way, which can be summed up that you are greater than you know yourself to be. I love that, especially when you are faced with adversity. He graduated from the University of Miami, where he earned his BS in marine science and a biology degree with a minor in chemistry and an MS in aquaculture and marine affairs. That's a lot to say. Anyways, that, that ain't even touching the nutshell or breaking the nut when it that probably doesn't sound right, but when it comes to Gustavo, my boy is gonna bring it to you. So welcome, my friend Gustavo.
Thank you. So it's funny because we said that we were giving the foreplay. This is gonna be like the meat, and then we're gonna have the end. And so if it falls right in line, we're breaking the nut, right? That's how we gotta do it. That's how we gotta do it. So.
And so, yes, my listeners and audience and people watching us know that I am that, that kind of chick. So,
Yeah.
Hey, so I want to, you go ahead, Gustavo.
No, I'm just excited. I just want to thank you again for bringing me back. We that 30 minutes we were just vibing and just went by so fast. And I have a feeling that today is going to be the same thing. And just kind of like, there's like no real agenda. I just really just want to be able to pour into people and make a difference. And it's funny because I got my Love Heals shirt. It might be a little bit hard to see, but Love
Oh,
Heals,
there we
right?
go. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So the thing is that we get present to, like, what is it that we're here for, right? And it's great to hear about all those struggles, and then someone else comes on. It's a perfect romantic story. Humble beginnings. You go through these struggles. I can hear like the Rocky theme in the background. Or like Blade Runner. I'm showing my age. When you're running and you're just trying to make sure like that you cross the finish line. And so then what does it take? What does it take? And putting it all together about like love healing, right? Is not love. And a lot of times when people see that, right? And that's why I wore my shirt today. It was about not love healing. Yes, can it heal with when you're dealing with others? Absolutely. But when
Yeah.
you love yourself, what things can heal?
Let's
What
talk
things?
about that.
Yeah,
Let's
so let's talk about that. Let's talk
Yeah,
about that.
I love that. So if you all have been listening or watched the show or listen, you know that the last time Gustavo was on, he talked about his battle and his overcoming cancer not once but twice. And I want to kind of tap into our theme for love heals because so often it says if you pour into others, like you said, and give them love, you have the power to heal them. But I think it really starts with us loving ourselves. And so, Gustavo, can you share with the listeners and the viewers about your journey of discovering how to heal yourself by loving yourself?
So let me first preface it by saying this is that it's not a destination. So it's an ongoing journey. And it's more like layers of an onion. And a lot of people use this type of metaphor, right? So it's like you oh, I dealt with that, and you peel that layer away, and then there's something else. So it's like it's an ongoing process where you're like, wow, I didn't realize I didn't love myself in that particular area, whatever that area is. For some people, it's like, I think that when we start looking at the best way that we can love ourselves is being integrity to our word.
Mm,
The best way that we can love ourselves is being integrity to our word. And so, are we going to always, and I know we were talking about like before we came on about like time, right? So it's like, can we always be on time? No, because things happen. But how do you put that integrity back into your word? That's a way of showing you love yourself, but also that you're there to respect other people's time and you love them as well. So it's like, we all had to do something to get to this point, right? Whether it be, get the kids away, do whatever. But then it's like, what is because the integrity of the word and that commitment to the love of self is there. Now, here's the thing that we got to learn to be, and I'm going to do a play on words here because we got to learn to be self-centered. And what I mean by that, when I say a play on words, is because most of the times when we think about being self centered, it's negative. It has a negative connotation to other people, right?
right,
You're so
right.
self centered. But what I mean by that is like you center yourself. I got to sit up a little higher so you guys can see what I'm saying. So you got to center yourself. So, like when you're centering in yourself, from there, everything else could balance itself out. And when we're talking about loving yourself, that's part of that centering.
Mm,
That's part of like be able to connect to oneself in a way that not only does you stand in your power, but it emanates to other people. And you could be the beacon of light. There's no need for you to dim your light so other people could feel comfortable.
Stop right there. I love that. I love that. I love all what you said in that, because so often when you think of being self-centered, you think of this egotistical, arrogant, person that's always all about me, me, me. But in reality, and I'm not saying that's not true, but in reality, a lot of times we forego loving ourselves or being quote self-centered on ourselves because we don't want to come across as that egotistical person. However, if we don't love ourselves, then we never put ourselves first, which we should always put ourselves first. And then we're not able to emanate that love out to others because we really
Mhm.
don't have the love in our heart and soul for ourselves. And there's so many people today that are walking around that are projecting or I'm gonna say I'm wearing a facade of, I'm this love person, and I'm just oozing with love and I'm good. But in reality, sometimes they're the saddest people on the planet, because in the essence of them saying that they don't really love themselves. And so I love how you said that, and how you shared the difference between being self-centered and being self-centered. I think it makes a huge difference, and I think people really need to start embracing that and the positive aspect of what you said,
Mm.
because without being self-centered, you can't be balanced. You
It's
absolutely.
so it's so true. So let me piggyback on that because there's something about like the ego. So the ego covers up an insecurity. The ego covers up an insecurity. So when you're having a conversation and they're the traditional self-centered, right?
Right.
When you're looking at that, you can see the pitfalls and the holes in their, even in their appearance, that they come off so confident. And when it comes to love, it's like, and this is a stretching part, right? This is a place where, I believe that we talked about like the metamorphosis, the caterpillar to the cocoon, and
Yep.
then going to the butterfly last time. And so this is part of that metamorphosis where you start looking at what is it about me and how can I give more to someone else? Because then that humbles the ego down. But I got to be centered of who I am, because I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna say how it comes out. I'm from the Bronx, so we got to say things the way it comes out, right? And it's like, if it comes out a certain way, like, like when I talk about self and being selfless, right? I got to be so sure who I am that I could watch you play me. Doesn't mean I'm going to allow it, but I can watch you play me. I'm like, okay, let's see how far this goes. It doesn't mean I'm a dummy. Doesn't mean I'm closing an eye, but I'm watching you. And like, okay, I'll let you play. And then at that end of that day, it's like, okay, so you're done playing? Can we really have this real conversation now? Can we really talk about love? Right?
Right.
Because you know why I say it that way? Because that's how the divine loves us.
Yes.
That is how the divine loves us all the time. God loves us in that space of like, okay, you're going to do this. I'm still going to show up. I know what you're going to do. I know all the outcomes of that. I'm still going to show up. You're not fooling anybody, but I'm still going to show up. So it's like when you learn to be self centered in the way that I explained it earlier, it's really understanding your connection to divinity and loving in a divine way.
Mm, I love that. I mean, what a beautiful aspect of um, just being able to express being self-centered in a positive, very positive way. I love how you tied in like the divine knows us, and whether we are doing good or indifferent or bad, he the divine knows what we're gonna do before we even do it, before we even think about
Sure.
whatever is presented upon us. Like I know Rochelle Marie is gonna take this road no matter what. She may be looking at this road over here, but I already know what she's gonna do. But no matter what we do, there's still lots of love there. It's like when you have children, and your children, they're gonna do something bad, you still love them. You still love them, and show them love. And I think it's important for people to understand that. And I like how you did the analogy of you know keeping it real in the Bronx. You like in the hood, anywhere in the hood around the world, you're gonna find it, you're gonna keep it real. You're gonna find people that keep it real, and you better pay attention, because they're
Sure.
not gonna come at you any other kind of way. But if you're unaware, if you don't have the goggles to see what's coming at you, then yeah, you can be taken extremely advantage of. But it is a way for us to take a look at things, and then really stay centered in our own self-love, to know that we have the choice to make the next decision moving forward from a place of love. And so I love what you're sharing. I want to ask you something else
That,
about your shirt, though.
okay.
So I bet you when you wear that shirt, when you step out, you go out and you wear that shirt, people look at that. First, they look at you, then they look at what the shirt says. And then they look at you at a whole different way. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing, right? So like when we start talking about like the shirt, right? The shirt is definitely a conversation starter. Actually, I found it ironically, I found it at I think it was at a like a small little shop in like one of these little like street fairs. And I was like, wow, such simple but powerful words,
Right.
you know? And because the thing is this is that if we understood what it is to have a furious love. So I'm playing on a lot of words here and changing the definitions here, right? So here's what I'll explain to us. So for your audience and all those people who have children, right, whether male or female, they have a furious love for their child. And
Mm-hmm.
so we've learned that that word furious is tied to anger, but not really. If you understand the word and the vernacular behind it, furious means that nothing will stop that love and even the protection of that love, right? So when we start talking, we go back into to the divine. When the divine loves us that much, if we understood how much the divine loves us, right, that is a way for us to emulate that within our kingdom and our queendomship, and then we give that to the world. But you have to be back to the point of being self-centered because you
Right.
have to have that connection. And we've lost that because we're too busy seeing who's on TikTok, who's here, who's there, right? We're too busy chasing the dollar that takes our attention away of what's really important. Because with that you can transform everything.
Mm.
When you're committed to being centered, you transform everything. And then, like you said, your goals, whatever you want, financially, spiritually, in a loving relationship, they will start to unfold. And because you're in that space of love, in that space of centeredness, you just patiently wait for it to unfold. Kind of like a mother patiently waiting for her child to, start crawling, then
Yep.
eventually walking, gaining teeth, and eventually, till they could communicate fully, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think that when we start looking at it like that, we patient in certain aspects of our life, and then other aspects of our life, we just like, oh, we want that immediate result. But we want that result without doing the work, and the work that part of the healing process, right? I know we talked about wealth before, but this is
Complete
wealth
growth.
in terms of wealth of relationship, and we so many times we downplay that, right?
Yep.
And this is why I'm bringing it up, because wealth of relationship and then wealth in the community, right? So it's interesting. I was reading this book, and it's a great book. It's called The Ultimate Coach, and I was talking about this gentleman, and he's this renowned coach. And anyway, he sat at a sporting event, and he started to talk to the kids that were there, teenage kids. They were in high school, and out of 80 students, he said, "Take my book if you're serious. You read it, and here's my number." By the way, this guy, his coaching is six figures. To
Ooh.
have a session with him is six figures. And so he started coaching this kid, and the kid ended up being best friends with his sons, and then they end up doing real estate. But the point was this, is that like, you never underestimate the power of love, how it can make a difference in someone else's life too. So it's like, really, when we start peeling away the layers, at our core, who we are as human beings are just love, right? And I know I'm not saying any big revelation. The thing is, like, how do we peel away the layers to get to that point? And then
Oh,
you can actually get to true wealth.
I love it. I love it. Love is the word today. We loving
Okay.
everything. But I love how you said, you just said about like getting to ourself, to peeling away the layers to get to our own self love. And I think just over the years of when we grow up from being a child to an adult, and we have all these different elements and aspects and experiences that we go through, we some and I want to say, just honestly, we do get further and further and further away from that core self-love that we had, say, as a baby or before we even started school. And it's such a powerful thing to discover that when you love yourself as much as possible, as more than anything external of you, when you really have that pure love for yourself, that divine love for yourself, then you can actually not only transform your world, but transform the world of others, because you're coming from a place of love, and love leads to compassion and empathy. And uh, there's no oh, why am I at a loss for words? But there's no selfish motives behind what you do, because you're coming from that place of love, because you found that you've reconnected with that pure love that's always been inside of you. And I think a lot of times, and I know you know people, because I know a hell of a lot of people that at one point in their life they were really good, loving people, but life has been hard for them, and they've made some choices, and they've made some bad choices, and things have happened, and they've actually lost touch with that pure divine love within themselves. And so they now appear completely different than how
And
we've been.
they may even look different.
Yes, and they do. They do. And so I think it's just absolutely beautiful how you share this, because I think we need more love in the world, and we need more self-love. Because without the self-love, we can't possibly love and serve others like we're meant to, in that harmonistic flow, which is part of what Wealthonomics is all about. And so
Absolutely.
thank you for bringing that back, and bringing that to the forefront here.
You know, it's interesting. So here's one thing that I'm just trusting that needs to be kind of make a differentiation is that when we start talking about love, especially loving others, right? And you know, outside when we love others, it's just a projection of how we love ourselves, right? So there's a place where there's a distinction that needs to be made between commitment and attachment,
Mm,
right? So here's the distinction, right? Because, like, Rochelle, I'm your cheerleader. I'm committed that you do your best, right? I will have those tough conversations with you if I need to, still in the space of love, right? But I'm committed that because you say that you want something, I'm committed because you speaking it into my listening. So then I'm committed to you having that, whatever that XYZ is, right? Because I didn't say it, you said that. So I
right.
show my commitment. Now, attachment is I'm committed to you, but my rationale and my reaction to that will be something that I'm detached from it. You said you wanted it, so I'm just reminding you this is what you said you wanted. How can I support you in that? And let's take it from there, right?
Right.
Versus attachment, right? Attachment is like you said you wanted it. Yeah, the demeanor changes.
Mhm.
You said you wanted it, then you get into a heightened state as the person who's supposedly committed, and it actually may turn into anger.
Right.
And then now I'm attached at that outcome. Give you a simple example. My son, my son, he's a genius, right? I'm blessed, and he's in middle school right now, and of course hormones are raging, all the basics, right? But he's in
Wow.
an accelerated program, and in the accelerated program, basically he does sixth, seventh, eighth, right? So sixth and seventh grade they do middle school, and then in eighth grade they start doing the high school courses. And so we had a thing with his teacher just the other day, like a conference, and they were kind of like the normal things, and we were going through and but before that we went over his grades. And so, in preparation for the exam, for preparation for the meeting, we went over his grades to see where he's at. Because it's my fiduciary responsibility because I'm committed. And then I have to have a conversation with him. Well, what happened with your grades, right?
Mhm.
And then there was an accountability that he had, and so he didn't like having the accountability. So tears ran from his eyes, but I didn't come with him with anger. I just asked him a question.
Right.
You said because he wants to join this program that they have down here that he could do high school and college at the same time.
Oh,
So
cool.
basically, it's not like college credit, So just to be clear, so he starts ninth grade, and by the time he ends in 12th grade, he ends up with a bachelor's degree from college, right? And then he could go to med school, he could go to law school, whatever he wants to do. But I said, you said you wanted that. I didn't say that you wanted that. So
Right.
if you say that you wanted that, everything builds upon one another. And Nick, I use a Legos analogy because he loves Legos. It's like you can't build this Lego, your favorite Lego, without putting one on top of the other. So you
Right.
got, if you put this one wrong, then sometimes you have to take it and break it down. And so what happens in life is this, is that sometimes we beat ourselves up, and this is where the love heals come together, right? We just put our Legos wrong and we have to tear it down. And the ego comes into play, the disconcerting notions that we didn't get it right, you know, that I'm not good enough, all these other things, this performance love, right? That's what I call it, performance love, because we've been performing for our parents to learn, and we've been learned and we've been taught that we have to perform in order to get the love that we so need from our parents.
Yeah.
Case in point, using school as an example, bring me the A, you got all the love. Bring me the D, go to your room,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
go study some more instead of saying, where are we at?
Right.
Now, again,
Exactly.
we're,
Yep.
you as the person who's committed, and this is why you have to be self-centered, right? You got to understand, how do you speak over there? Because when you speak, how is it going to land over there? Yes, you're going to hold them accountable. Absolutely. Hold them accountable, right? But then it's like, am I so attached that I end up getting them and pushing them further away from us?
Right.
And I'm preaching from the choir right now because I do it. And I learned and I do it and I learned and I do it, right? So I'm
Right.
just being very honest, right? Because if we get even a little bit of insight on how to do that, and it all comes from us being self-centered, right? Knowing who we are and our commitment. Because I don't know if it's ever happened to you, but sometimes there's been like a few teachers in my life. They knew that I was messing up, but they also knew what I was capable of doing.
Yep.
And they just knew how to just get in because they listened. And they never said, for me, you have to do this. Rather, they just kind of nudged me along and I drew my own conclusion. See, that's commitment.
Yeah.
That's in the space of love. And that's what I'm talking about.
I love that. You brought up a memory of mine with a teacher. I was a really good student, and I had an A in this teacher's class, and I was a junior in high school. It was the year my high school was closing, and I was going to have to go to a new high school, a rival high school, for my senior year. Yeah, that's a whole nother story. But a friend of mine, all my friends were a grade or two ahead of me. So a friend of mine, she was a senior, and it was the last year of this high school. So she's the last graduating class. Anyways, we're celebrating her birthday in high school. And at 7 a.m. or 7:30 a.m., we're drinking 7 Up, but with Seagram's 7 Up in a 7 Up jar. And this teacher, I'll never forget his name and never forget his face. He's like 6'3", 6'4", big dude. And he looked down and he saw us walking and he was like, "Hey, Rochelle, Marie, how you doing?" And he said, "Oh, I see you drinking." He said, "I see you drinking." He paused and then said, 7 Up early in the morning. And I looked at him and, he's like, he goes, "Who drinks 7 Up?" Pause again, early in the morning. He goes, "I've never seen you drink 7 Up." Pause. And at this time, and I see you almost every morning. And he goes, "You're a good student. So I suggest that you find another morning beverage besides 7 Up. Because when you come to my class, I expect the best out of you." That's all he had to say. I will remember that forever because, for one, I know I wasn't fooling him. Even when he was talking to me, I knew he knew what we were drinking. Two, he did it out of love because I was an A student in his class, and he knew he saw something in me that I didn't see at the time, but he knew I was going to go off and do well in college, or and all that. And three, he took the time to pour into us and give a little love without being that, he could have took us to the principal's office. He could have, whatever. Because if they would have opened up, they would have found that was probably more Seagram 7 than 7 Up in the 7, in the 7 Up
Yeah,
jar.
yeah, yeah.
But he didn't do that. And it was like what you're sharing with your son. He was committed to me being successful, even though I don't think I saw him after that last year at that high school. But he was committed to me being successful when I couldn't even see the commitment of success in myself. And he did it from love. And that is
That
so
was a gem.
doggone powerful. And if I think we can, as a society, as a people, as a society, as a nation, as a world of people, see that it truly does have the power to heal, and it has power to heal on levels that you may never ever experience the healing with that person, but you've made a difference in that person's life. And dang it, we're at our time for this session, Gustavo.
Oh my God. I tell you, it goes so fast. It goes so fast.
I know we're gonna have to another, anyways, y'all. Gustavo's gonna come back and we're gonna talk some more. This was kind of like we had the foreplay. This is like the main dish. It kind of was appropriate because it was
I know
all
it's perfect because love, right?
love, right? And so now we're gonna come back. We're gonna bring him back and we're gonna finish it up with a really nice, sweet, little spicy dessert, so to speak.
Yes.
The afterplay, I guess.
Yeah.
The hugging and snuggling and cuddling part, I guess, whatever, or go to the neutral sides, however it rolls
Sure.
in your household.
Make a sandwich. Make a sandwich, right?
Exactly. But we're definitely I'm bringing Gustavo back because I think this is real dialogue, real factual stuff that needs to be shared. And the more that we can get it out there and share it with people around the world, the better we can make the sooner we can make the world a better place again. So thank you, Gustavo, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you to all of you that are watching or listening to us. If you love the show, please subscribe to the show. Subscribe and share. Subscribe and share. It's like this is the kind of guest that we bring that drop these little nuggets of gold that you probably weren't even expecting that you were going to get out of this conversation. But I guarantee, and I know it's awakened you to a whole different aspect of love today. And today, when you go about your day, you're going to be thinking about love heals, because you can't help but remember. Stand up one more time. Show that shirt, Gustavo.
Yeah, I gotta show it. I gotta show my
Yeah,
Superman shirt, right?
you can't help but remember this shirt in the visualization of your mind as you go about your day. So to all of you, I want to say thank you for your time. Again, please share the show, subscribe to it. To the sponsors, Blissful Living for You at Blissful Living, the number 4, the letter U.com. Check them out. They've got some wonderful things. To All Day Cable Incorporated at alldaycableinc.com. Check them out if you're mid, small, or large corporation that needs telecom services and installation. And to all of you, just from the bottom of my heart, I say thank you. And I'm wishing you peace to your mind, wellness to your body, tranquility to your spirit. And remember, my friends, that love heals. And when you love yourself and you're in that center space of love, you have the power to not only transform your world, but the world of others that you may not even know about. And that's where the real power is. So take good care, everybody. And until next time, goodbye for
Bye-bye.
now.
Bye-bye.